Hey there, everyone. As you may know, Biden made some comments yesterday about how the risk of Armageddon is the highest since the Cuban Missile Crisis. And this was off camera, otherwise I would have gotten the video clip. But it's pretty concerning to me, and we are going to talk about this more on our Survival Preppers show on Sunday night during our live stream. But all of this is pretty concerning to me because it seems to be ramping up. This whole nuclear threat thing used to be something that people used to make fun of preppers for, right? You know, the being too extreme and talking about this and that. And even us as preppers sometimes sort of thought about, okay, yes, it's possible, but how likely is it? And I'm still not sure at this point how likely something like this is. Or I suppose maybe more so how likely something like this is to happen here on U.S. soil. But with any sort of nuclear threat, depending on, I mean, there's so many different variables, depending on where they get launched, how many get launched, what's the yield. I mean, we're all on the same little globe here, so that has potential to have far-reaching consequences, even if none land on U.S. soil here. Along with just the radiation and the fallout and all that, you have the geoeconomic stuff. You've got the food situations that could be affected by this. But I wanted to go into today why I feel sort of like this is really something that is increasingly getting higher and higher on my radar. Because like I said, I'm not sure how likely something like this is to happen, but it sure seems like the potential. If I were in Ukraine right now, I would probably be flipping out, or even anywhere in Europe at this point, one of those NATO countries that borders Ukraine. I would be flipping. My alert level would be peaked. But what I wanted to do is kind of talk about why I think this is. I don't want to seem like I'm some sort of doomsdayer, and I don't want to seem like one of those people that are just trying to get, just push this fear and all of that stuff. But it is really something that I am concerned about as far as how this may unfold, because it seems like it's just pushing and pushing and escalating and escalating. It seems like a lot of these countries around the world feel like this is their perfect window of opportunity to try to pull their stuff. You've got China and Taiwan, China being more aggressive towards Taiwan all the time. You've got us kind of poking the bear with that. You've got North Korea that seems like they feel like they're left behind, like nobody's paying attention to them. So they're launching missiles over Japan, doing things like that. Then you've got Russia that I think is really dangerous at this point because of the fact what we're being told anyway is they're losing. And when you take into account that this is Vladimir Putin, this egomaniacal person that I'm trying not to cuss here, that as he's not going to go quietly, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It is going to, if he has to escalate, I think he's going to, and I think that's the concern that I have with where this stuff goes. And when he escalates, who else escalates? I think it's interesting that, we've been sort of a while ago. I'll play this clip from the New York nuke announcement that they had. I think it's interesting that we're sort of getting groomed for the possibility of this, right? This, idea of, hey, yes, it's possible, but it's not too bad. I'll play this PSA from New York.
So there's been a nuclear attack. Don't ask me how or why, just know that the big one has hit, okay? So what do? There are 3 important steps that I want you to remember. Step 1, get inside fast. You, your friends, your family, get inside. And no, staying in the car is not an option. You need to get into a building and move away from the windows. Step 2, stay inside. Shut all doors and windows. Have a basement? Head there. If you don't have one, get as far into the middle of the building as possible. If you were outside after the blast, get clean immediately. Remove and bag all outer clothing to keep radioactive dust or ash away from your body. Step 3, stay tuned. Follow media for more information. Don't forget to sign up for Notify NYC for official alerts and updates. And don't go outside until officials say it's safe. All right? You've got this.
So as preppers, you know, you look at something like that and it's good basic information for the normal person, for the average person, right? But as preppers, we know that that's just the bare minimum stuff you would need to do. I think it's interesting, though, how they kind of have that soothing music and they talk about it like it's not really such a big deal.
Start spreading the news. We're all gonna die.
And, you know, hey, you've got this at the end, right? So it's almost that, hey, if something, we're not saying something is going to happen, like she said in the beginning, never mind why or all that. We're not saying something is going to happen, but if it does, you know, you might want to do stuff like this. So I think it's pretty interesting. Also, what's interesting with this whole situation is the fact that federal agencies, let me put this on big screen here, federal agencies are starting to stockpile potassium iodide, which is interesting. Now, I don't know, maybe therefore, you know, to send over to Ukraine, because it seems like we just send everything over to Ukraine at this point. Don't worry about the American people. We send it over there. But it's interesting that they are thinking about this stuff as well. So when Biden is saying something, and then you've got these agencies buying up potassium iodide, and also the demand, people around the world and here even in the United States, you know, there's a lot more people than just preppers are actually buying up the potassium iodide too. So I think this could turn into something that is sort of akin to the toilet paper shortage during the pandemic, where this potassium iodide becomes you know, really hard to find. So that may be something that you might want to, you know, think about right now. I've got a couple bottles. I've got a couple bottles that are really old and expired as well. But that might be something you want to think about. And all of this nuclear preparedness stuff, even though I'm not so sure something lands in our backyard, I think the potential for something like this to just continue to escalate is pretty large right now. Now, I've got this article that I wanted to talk about a little bit, and we talked about this on the show the other day. Let me put this on full screen. But this is the curious case of the curious whodunit of Nord Stream 1 and 2. And the reason I want to bring this up is because this explains the chess match that's going on. In this article, this Tom Luongo talks about how it's the Chinese game of Go, where it's all these strategic moves put together by these big power players on this game board, and which, you know, with us, you think about a chessboard, you've got the people who control the pieces. We're not even the pieces on that chessboard. We are the molecules that make up those pieces. So we are basically insignificant to them. But they talk in this article, and he's got a video down here as well, where it's very good video. I'll leave this link in the description below. But he talks about how this is a game of Go, and all of these moves, as small as they may be, are starting to formulate the bigger picture. So this Nord Stream situation was just one small piece to this whole bigger picture. And in this article, he talks about how the UN basically wants an elongated war. And the problem with that is when you're talking about a nuclear superpower in an elongated war, what are the odds that something does escalate to the point where Putin feels like he's got no other choice, like he's losing? The story we're getting told is that he's losing and losing badly, and I tend to believe that. But he's not going to go quietly, so what's he going to do? And I think in this article, he lays out his theory, and it's all theory at this point, but he lays out his theory that this is all according to plan. I want to go through a couple points that he makes down here below. That he kind of lays out why he thinks this is what happened and why it happened. And he says here, I'll just start with number 3 here. Like I said, the link is in the description below. You can read the whole story, whole article. But he says Davos is obsessed with preserving the EU and transferring that power to the UN for global government through the end of the commercial banking system and total surveillance. Getting the neocons to overreact to the current state of play in Ukraine by blowing up two vital pipelines in Europe is child's play. They're goading them to do what they want to do anyway. Screw Germany and Russia simultaneously. And this is basically they want Europe to go through this transformation, I suppose, so they can bring in their new system. And to do that, it's the same old saying, right? Never let a good crisis go to waste. They need something to be able to justify their actions. I'm going to scroll down here to number 10 here, and it says Europe's only solution, said many times by Soros, is to default by issuing perpetual debt consoles and rolling up the political power in Europe to the EU Commission and the ECB. So in order to do this, they need to collapse the German middle class. So this is their game plan, like the game of Go. This are their moves. They're moving their pieces in place to be able to do something like this. They also need a scapegoat to focus Germany's anger on, otherwise they lose them. So bring in the hyper-aggressive Yanks and the hated Russians, perfect patsies for this operation. So basically it's making a demon out of the United States, making a demon out of Russia, and using that as the excuse of, look at these bad people, we need to, we're going to have to, reassess our whole situation here. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail about this article, but it brings up a very good point about where all of this stuff, or why, I suppose, all of this stuff is happening. Why it is that these neocons, these power brokers feel like that it's in their best interest to make this situation bigger or make this situation last longer. You hear about the military-industrial complex all the time. It's sort of that same type of thing. It's moving those chess pieces or moving those Go pieces into place. We don't see the bigger picture. Some of them don't see the bigger picture, but the ones that are making those moves, they're thinking 3-4 steps ahead. So what does that mean for the rest of us that are just here, doing our daily thing, going to our jobs and all of that? What does that mean for our future? If it is a nuclear situation, what does that mean as far as food shortages and supply lines? And what does that mean for the green energy stuff, the climate change, all of those big issues that they always talk about? This has potential to be super catastrophic. So when you think about it in that context, you wouldn't think that it benefits them to do this stuff. You wouldn't think that it would benefit them to blow up the Nord Stream pipelines. Yet here we are. So it's that game being played behind the scenes, almost a 3D chess match being played behind the scenes that we really don't have a full grasp on. We've got a lot of people that do a lot of research on this, and we'll talk about it and have our theories, but when it all comes down to it, there's a select few that really understand what's going on, and there's a select few that are going head-to-head against each other as well. So it's all of these big wigs that, like he says in the beginning of this article right here, these big wigs that feel like they can change the rules of the game whenever they feel like it. If the game is not going according to how they like it, they flip the chessboard, and they flip the board. He's talking about the Go game in here, but they flip the board. And, then they can start to change the rules to benefit them. And it's the game that's gone on throughout history. So at any rate, what I wanted to do, Lisa and I, the other night, I wanted to go through this nuke map thing right here. And I know a lot of you probably have already, this has been around for a while and it's gone through the prepper circles quite a bit. But we were talking about this stuff the other night before Biden made his announcement. We were talking about this and kind of doing some just little exercises and seeing what would happen in our area. So I want to kind of go over what it may look like, and I'll go through sort of my area with this. Let me put this on full screen, but I think it's what I'll do here is I'll just take. I don't know. We really don't know what size. If something did make it over here, what size it would be, but it would probably have to be an ICBM or something at that sort of level. So I'll just do like the 300 kilotons. And what I will do is I'll put it on a surface, not the airburst, and I'll put in the radioactive fallout, because this was kind of what we were thinking about that night. And if you, let me see if I've got everything right here. So if you were to detonate this right over Denver, something like this, you've got the fallout that would travel all the way outside of Colorado. The wind is usually west to southwest. So if something were to hit Denver, let me see if I can zoom in here. You've got that fallout that basically would put us right in that path if the wind was blowing that way, or, up that way or down this way. We've also got Colorado Springs. So if this were to, which we've got NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain, Peterson Air Force Base. So something down here wouldn't really affect us all that much. But that fallout, like I said, would travel, just at 300 kilotons, would travel all the way to the edge of Colorado. And this little chart right here gives you a key of what these are. So thermal radiation, moderate blast damage radius, inside. Let me see if I can zoom into this. This is the radius, radiation radius, the fireball radius, heavy blast damage. And you can look into this stuff as well. What's interesting, though, is it wouldn't. So if something happened in Colorado Springs and the wind was blowing the right direction that day, wouldn't affect us too much at that point. I mean, winds shift and winds change and all that stuff. So who knows how that goes. But if you were to launch another one, say they did hit one in Denver. Oops, I did that wrong. If you were to launch another one, say they detonated one in Denver as well. So you've got these two going on right here. Let me see if I can get a satellite map. So you would see that you can see that it wouldn't, if it's a couple different detonations. Let's do one more. Let's say there's something up towards here, and we detonate that. So you see that it becomes a bigger issue than just a one. And if, say, something happens, we'll detonate another one somewhere in Utah. Let me push this over here, detonate one in Utah. So you can see, as the more this type of situation happens, there we go. The more these types of situation happens, the more you get these little fallout clouds or particles, whatever they are, going all over the place. And winds shift and winds change. So what happens with all of this stuff? It becomes more than just hey, if they nuke this place, then I'm going to be okay. Or if they nuke this place, I'm going to be okay. Because all of this stuff starts floating around, gets in the air, gets in the water, gets in everything. So, and it's pretty concerning when you think about a situation like this, because there isn't really a safe place. There's worse places to be, and there's better places to be, but there really isn't a safe place. So, if anybody's watching this that lives in Colorado Springs, I feel like that is the main target in Colorado because of what's there. If you're in the middle of that fireball, that radius, that's basically you're toast at that point. If you were in there, regardless, or just depending on where this whole situation is, that is complete devastation. But like I said in the beginning, I don't believe that, and I could be wrong. I'm not saying that it's not possible that bombs start landing on U.S. soil. I think it's very possible. But I think it's more likely that things start to escalate in Europe with all of these situations, and things start to progress that way. But we are going to see some of those ramifications coming from that, even if it isn't an all-out nuclear war. I don't see how it couldn't be at that point, because like I said, Putin will not go quietly. He's got too big of an ego, and he doesn't want to lose control. But it seems like the UN and maybe even NATO and all that want him off the table. because it goes into their plans of expanding Europe, I don't mean geographically, but expanding Europe's financial abilities and stuff like that. So it's all according to, or it's going to their plans, I suppose. And I don't know that they're even in that article, he talks about how it's a terrible plan, but it is their plan, trying to kind of game. You look at the World Economic Forum and their plans for harnessing the fourth industrial revolution goes along the same lines as that. We need to change the structure, and that's why I've said a bunch of times on this show and the Survival Prepper show, a lot of this stuff that's going on is intentional, and we're not told that it's intentional. We're told something completely different, but it's all intentional as far as how they're trying to bring in this new era, whatever you want to call it, global governance, new world order, all that stuff. They're trying to bring this stuff in, and Europe wants to be, the head of the table. United States wants to be the head of the table. China wants to be at the head of the table. Russia just wants to be at the table at this point, I think, and North Korea. But you're seeing all of this stuff align. You're seeing that these companies seeing us as weak at this point, in my opinion. They see this as a perfect opportunity to do this stuff. So I think it's the next couple years are going to be very interesting with this. I don't know that this conflict in Ukraine goes that long without escalating to some sort of biological weapon thing, nuclear weapon thing. And then what does that do? So it's all just really concerning to me. This is something as preppers we talk about all the time, but when government officials are talking about how this is the highest sense of heightened sense of urgency they've had since 1962, since the Cuban Missile Crisis, it makes you kind of think. And then you've got New York putting out PSAs about preparing for a nuclear bomb, and you've got the global agencies or government agencies buying up potassium iodide pills, and people around the world buying that stuff as well. So it all seems to be, it's really escalated on my threat level chart. Basically, the nuclear threat used to be something that, yes, it was a possibility, but not really high on my threat level chart, but it certainly is there at this point. So with that, if you guys have any other information, any cool articles, anything that points out some other information that you have on this type of situation, leave them in the comments below. But like I said, we'll be going into this as well on the Survival Preppers live stream on Sunday night. So if you get a chance, make sure to jump over there, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification icon. You can get notified when we go live. But if you've got any comments on this, and let me know how concerned you are about this situation escalating as well. And let me know your thoughts on how likely is it that something does kick off here in the United States, that they do launch them, they have the capability of launching them here. I'd love your thoughts on that too, because like I said, while I think it may be unlikely, it is totally not off the table, and I could be completely wrong about that as well. So at any rate, yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all of this stuff. But with that, take care and prepare. We'll talk to you all later.